Hello, everybody. Once again, Mr. Grosso. Hope everybody's doing well. What we're doing this time is finishing up our volume section with the last shape to talk about, which is spheres. All right, so let us get into it. Okay, so for volume with spheres, all we have to do is this formula right here, kind of like what we were doing with pyramids and cones. We're just given the formulas, and all we have to do is just plug in the necessary numbers and do the necessary calculations. All right, so this right here is the volume formula for a sphere. It's radius cubed times pi, which we're going to use 3.14 for, times 4, and then all of that divided by 3. All right, so if we're looking at this first example of a sphere, we have like a little clear or transparent example here. And this part right here, remember, when it goes halfway across a circle or halfway through a sphere, that's considered radius. So since this right here is the radius, that's the number that we need to multiply by itself 3 times. That's what we're going to plug here for these 3 spots. So radius cubed, the radius of 5, is going to be 5 times 5 times 5. All right, so 5 times 5 is 25, and times 1 more is going to be 125. So now that we have what the radius cubed is, we're going to take that number and plug it in right here into the formula. So now what we have to do is 125 times 3.14 for pi, and then times 4, and we need to divide that by 3. All right, so once you do all of those calculations, all right, remember, you guys can use calculators for this stuff. Once you do those calculations, you're going to get 523.33333 repeating. All right, so remember, we're going to round all of our volume answers to the nearest tenths place. All right, tenths place, again, is the first decimal place right here. After the decimal point, it's the first number. But we need to look at the hundredths place, the place right next to it on the right, to see if you're going to round up or round down. Remember, in rounding, it needs to be a 5 or higher to round up. And if it's a 4 or lower, you're not going to round up, you're going to round down. So since this is a 3 and not a 5 or higher, it's going to round down, and all of these numbers are going to go away. So that 3 stays a 3, and we get rid of everything behind it. So the volume for this particular example is 523.3. And that's it. All right, let's take a look at another one where instead of given the radius, we're given the diameter. So the diameter is going all the way across the circle or the sphere, from one end to the other. So since the formula for volume for a sphere calls for a radius, we got to get the radius out of this. So remember, radius is only halfway across and the diameter is all the way across. So if the diameter is 12, that means that the radius is only going to be half of it. So half of 12 is going to be 6. So 6 is our radius. So 6 is the number that we need to multiply by itself 3 times. So we got 6 times 6 times 6. All right, 6 times 6 is 36, and 36 times 6 is going to be 216. So that's radius cubed. That's the number that we're going to take and plug in right here. So radius cubed was 216. We're going to multiply that by 3.14 for pi, multiply that by 4, and then divide all of that stuff by 3. So 216 times 3.14 times 4 divided by 3 is going to give us 904.32. This is one of the rare instances where it's not repeating decimal. But we still approach it the same exact way. Since we're rounding it to the nearest tenths place, that 3 right there is the tenths place. We got to look at the 2 to see if you're going to round up or down. And just like we looked at before with the previous example, it's not a 5 or higher, so it's going to round down. So the final answer for this one is 904.3, and that's it. All right, so you guys are going to get a couple clear or transparent examples, and then you're going to get a few other different kinds of examples. This one over here that we're going to talk about later, right after this next one, is going to be more of like a real world example, like with a picture or a specific item, while this one over here is going to be more like a filled in or a solid sphere. So this one over here, we're given 4, but remember, the volume formula calls for the radius. So this one right here is given to you as the diameter. So if the diameter is 2, remember the radius is half of that. So that means 2 should be the radius. All right. So radius cubed, that means we got to plug in a 2 here, a 2 here, and a 2 here. So radius cubed, or that number times itself 3 times, is going to give you 8 for this part right here. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. So since that's the radius cubed, we're going to put that 8 right into that spot and finish calculating the rest of the volume formula. So we got to do 8 times 3.14 times 4, and then divide that by 3. All right, when you do that, you get this number right here on your calculators. So again, remember, once we're rounding it to the nearest tenth, then that's going to be our final answer. So the 4 right here is the tenths place, but we got to look at the hundredths place to see if it's going to round up or down. And since this is a 5 or higher, it is going to round up. So since that's a 9, that's going to round that 4 up to a 5, and then all these numbers are going to go away. So the final answer for this one should be 33.5. All right, and the real item that we have is a soccer ball with this elastic. So an average soccer ball has a radius of 11 centimeters. All right, so it's given to us as radius right here. All the information, either the radius or the diameter, is going to be given to you for these real items in the sentence above it. So it's given that the radius is 11 centimeters, and that's exactly what we need. We need the radius. So that means that 11 is going to get plugged in for those 3 numbers, since it's either radius cubed or radius times itself 3 times. So 11 times 11 times 11 is going to give you 1,331. So that's the number that we need to plug in here. So 1,331, the rest of the formula, so 3.14 times 4, and then divide that by 3. It's going to give you a bit of a big number here. 5,572.453333, and it keeps on repeating after that. So remember, you guys are rounding to the tenth, which is the first decimal place behind the decimal point. But we need to look at the hundredths, all right, the second decimal place, to see if you're rounding up or down. So since this is a 5 or higher, it literally is a 5. That's the smallest number we can use to round up. That 4 right there is going to become a 5, and then the rest of those numbers are going to be dropped off. So the final answer for this one is 5,572.5. All right, there's going to be a couple of problems of each different type for you guys. There's going to be some that are clear. There's going to be 2 that are clear. There's going to be 2 that are more of a solid approach. And then there's going to be 2 that are like pictures or actual items. Each one of them is going to be 1 radius and 1 diameter, so you can get a little bit of practice on everything. And as always, guys, if you have any problems or questions, feel free and please email Ms. Coleman and myself and let us know so we can help you guys out. And you remember, you guys can also look at this video and pause it and write down like anything that you find helpful for yourself. All right, you can rewatch it a couple of times if you want to. All right, and hope everybody's doing well, and I will talk to you guys soon with the next topic. All right, everybody, have a good one.